The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues to hear testimony from crime intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo. Over the past 2 days, he's presented a range of evidence supporting claims of alleged criminal infiltration into South Africa's criminal justice system. Newzroom Afrika's Ziyanda Ngcobo live for us at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College, where the Commission will be sitting again later today. We had to really pay attention yesterday, Ziyanda, as those text messages and that text correspondence was read out. Talk to us about what essentially they outline and what we're expecting to hear from Khumalo today.
Well, we've heard about the conversations between Vusumuzi Kat Matlala and Brown Mkhotsi about the disbandment of the political killings task team, how the IPID processes there were plans to abuse these processes for nefarious ends. He says he'll tell us a little bit more about the links with the senior crime intelligence officials and SAPS members. He did mention the name of Major General Feroz Khan and said that that testimony would be taking place in camera, and this is why then it's time to speak to Algid de Klerk about this very point, because let's just at a basic level, what does it mean to submit evidence in camera? What actually happens? Are you recorded? Is your name recorded? What is the process?
Well, the Commission has already explained that they have this public hearings, and then they're going to have a phase 2 and a phase 3. In phase 2, it's likely that they can distort the voice of the witness. They can blur the witness or conceal their identity in one form, shape, or another. Those transcripts and the forming of that procedure may still be public, right? So it'll still be accessible. We'll know what gets said. And in the third phase, that is where it's closed behind closed doors. That proceeding is still for the record because it may lead to prosecution. They still have to have a record and a transcript of that. So it's only in phase 2 that we will get some insight into what's happening and what's been said. In phase 3, we're not likely to hear anything at all. What we are hoping with the Commission, and because we said earlier, and I think the general public is anxious that the Commission leads to something, that there be, as somebody's evidence is collected against somebody or their names get mentioned, that there's a parallel investigation. In the parallel investigations, there could be the seeking of affidavits from potential witnesses or the seeking of depositions from people who want to defend their name. However, if you've been put on trial in public, as now, we would hope that the deposition will also be in public, because your right of reply, if you want to clear your name, if I was mentioned in public, hopefully you get the opportunity to clear your name in public. So those are the kind of processes that we're looking at going forward.
I mean, take us through some of the low-hanging fruit in terms of the possible prosecutions that could take place, because if you look at all the other commissions, in particular the most recent one, the State Capture Commission, that's ventilated a lot of allegations, there was a sense and there was a lot of debate about it being wasteful expenditure because they haven't seen the so-called heavy hitters or masterminds or the big fish being prosecuted or arrested.
Well, we've got everything that's happened around the blue lights and assigned to a particular individual who shouldn't have it. We have that investigation that can continue right now. We also have investigations that has already been said from the PKTT that continues, and hopefully not only will we get to know, we'll personalize those investigations by actually highlighting who the victims were, so that it not just becomes nameless and unknown case dockets, but it actually attached to families and to victims who want justice. So we need to start getting to personalizing this whole experience, and we hope that there will be certain convictions that will come from this. We have Kat Matlala in court right now. We hope that could deliver something else. But the JMPD, the EMPD, all of those kind of things, SAPS has got their own internal investigations around their own crime intelligence individuals who may have surfaced dockets, who may have tried to subvert the course of justice within the department. That can't be closed doors disciplinary hearings. The result of that should be made public, because we already know there's issues with the disciplinary processes within SAPS. However, we also said earlier that we have the Public Service Administration, who have their own code of conduct, and can use that to take action against people. So we're hoping there will be a return on investment if we continue with the analogy of money, in the short to medium term.
But the capacity of the commission, do you think it's there? We know that the nature of the allegations are very unique in their nature. I mean, if they extend to IPID, that's a watchdog institution. If that's being compromised, how do you look into that, for an example? If you look, like you mentioned, the internal audits that can be done on the funds of the political killings task team and whether or not funds there were abused. This is a 6-month commission.
Well, because the commission, I think, ideally was set up to look at what was it around the institutional arrangements, around the policy framework and legislative framework, and around the leadership of these institutions that allowed itself to be captured or compromised. Yeah? So the kind of individual or the potential prosecution of individuals, whether that was the real scope of the commission is yet to be answered, because it doesn't seem that the commission was capacitated to do that in the short to medium term. They can recommend within 3 to 6 months for prosecution. Are we then going to investigate it? Was that the thought? Because we needed to now, and this is why the commission has kind of stayed at the sort of strategic level. Every time you heard said it was strategic, it was policy, it was framework, it was legislation. That's important. Yet there are individuals that were allowed themselves seemingly to be compromised, to have dubious relationships, and to do things for their own criminal ends. That also needs to be done. So we need to do both, and we need to ask of the commission, and they need to explain to us, do they need additional capacity? Is that a part of their mandate going forward, or are they simply going to say, we recommend that you look into this? Whoever needs to look into that, that's a question that the commission will have to answer.
Another thing that they'll have to manage, which I think the commission has done quite well, is the political aspect of it. So you have a Brown Makhotsi that is always soliciting money from this Vusumuzi Matlala, allegedly at the behest or on behalf of Minister Senzo Mchunu. Now, in the political sphere, you also know how there are individuals who are seen as fixers of some sorts that will claim or feign a proximity to a politician or someone in the executive without that person knowing. What I'm trying to get to the heart of, or the heart of my question rather, is how would the commission be able to prove that things like the monies that Brown Makhotsi was requesting, whether it's for ANC conferences or the likes, were actually at the behest or on behalf of Senzo Mchunu? And then also a little bit about his chief of staff, whose name continuously pops up.
Well, all we heard was somebody there, and then a chief of staff. We haven't got a name as yet. We know that there's somebody in the minister's office. Look, giving money to somebody for some end, in and of itself, is not necessarily a crime. You mentioned earlier, we need to know the source of the money and whether the money was obtained by legal grounds. We also need to know whether there's undue influence over the decision-making of the executive or the public representative, or did they use their office in lieu of having been given money to benefit the party who gave them money. That still has to be proven. Money exchanging in and of itself is absolutely, it's an indicator, but it doesn't convict somebody, right? You need to use your office to benefit the person who gave you the money, or your ability to do so. So that's the thing that the commission has to prove. The only people who can really come and answer those questions are the people who's been named, and we hope that they do that in public.
Is Brown Makhotsi a political swindler? Was he really acting on the instructions of Senzo Mchunu? Why was Kat Matlala's 360 million rand Medicare tender cancelled a few days after News 24 reported about it? Was there fallout within this alleged cartel? The Big Five cartel is something that Dumisani Khumalo told us about. But who else is he likely to mention as he continues his testimony on Day 3. At around 9:30, Iman, is when we'll get to hear more details in the reading out of those WhatsApp messages.